Hi and welcome to Matt's Adventures. In this video I'm going to answer 10 questions that I've been asked since completing 3 Quires Way. I chose 3 Quires Way purely by accident, to be honest. I started looking at routes along the Malvern Hills between Worcester and Gloucester, and then just so happened to come across this trail, and I typed it into Google to see how long this was going to be and if I can do it, and it ended up being something like I think it was like 97 miles long. I found myself having to do it. I had to do it. And the good reason about choosing 3 Quires Way as well was that because it links 3 cathedrals, Gloucester, Hereford and Worcester, it gave me kind of like a baseline of how many nights it would take to do it. The mileage between each cathedral was roughly 30 miles, which I know I could do 15 in a day. So it was a good baseline for me to think, right, I can do one cathedral to the other in a weekend and do 1 night of wild camping in the middle. So I knew altogether it would take 6 days, which is 3 weekends. Plus I don't have to take time off of work as well. If I had to pick the best part of this route, I probably couldn't just pick one. The fact that the cathedrals marked the start and finish of each leg also made them even more amazing. Just to have that feeling of accomplishment and then also look up and see this cathedral. The Malvern Hills, being so high up and then being able to look 360 and see these amazing views all around you. I just like being anywhere that's high up. I'll see a hill or a mountain and I just have that urge to just get up it. Sort of like an accomplishment feeling, but then also to see these views that you don't usually see in everyday life kind of thing. Also, because of the wild camping in between as well, actually pitching your tent and then making your meal in the evening and then waking up in the morning to see those views also just makes it absolutely breathtaking as well. So I would say the most challenging part of 3 Quires Way would be the 5th stage, and that was between Worcester and Gloucester. And that's simply because you go up the Malvern Hills and along the ridge. The entire trail was pretty much flat. These Malvern Hills, obviously you're going about 1,000 feet up. So that was challenging, but then also because I'm kind of quite competitive and I've been doing it every weekend for 3 weekends and pushing myself on that very first day. But then also working full time and being on my feet all day, it kind of all added up and just made the Malvern Hills that extra little bit harder, to be honest. So I think the most important bit of kit for this trail that I didn't actually get it until just before the 2nd weekend. I didn't know how much I actually really needed it until I started the trail. And because I was wearing shorts, I kept getting sticks and stones and soil and all kinds of stuff in my trainers, and every mile or so having to take my trainers off. And when you're doing about 15 to 20 miles a day, it gets very annoying. So I went out and got myself some Montane gaiters, which fit perfectly onto my Ultra Lone Peak 4 trainers. If you're wearing shorts and you're wearing trainers, then I'd highly recommend that you get yourself some gaiters. I don't think there's anything that I wouldn't have taken, because I've been hiking for quite a while and I've kind of whittled it down to exactly how I want it to be. The only thing I would change now is probably change some things out for some lighter parts, but obviously that's going to incur more cost. So for the time being, the kit itself is exactly what I would take. The most unexpected part of this trail would be the amount of fields I had to go through that had livestock in them. The biggest thing for that was cows, not horses, because they're really nice and kind. But cows, for some reason, I can't seem to get used to them because it's really hard to understand what they're thinking, because they all seem to be excited or curious or territorial. It's really hard to work it out. But the amount of fields that you have to go through with cows, I would definitely say that was very unexpected. The other thing I would say was quite unexpected was the fact that the trail felt very forgotten, not very well maintained. So I would say most of the stiles and gates were very overgrown with brambles and nettles. And because I was in shorts the whole time, I was constantly getting stung by stinger nettles, which wasn't too bad towards the end because I was kind of getting used to it. The leg between Worcester and Gloucester was a little bit better, simply because obviously you had the Malvern Hills in between, and that's a very, very popular place for people to go and hike and visit, so it's very well maintained around there. The route itself was, I would say, very, very quiet. I only met one person on this trail that was actually doing Three Quires Way. It was a lady whose husband passed away recently, and she was hiking the whole thing in honor of him, which was quite a sweet lady to meet. I don't know if this was possibly due to the coronavirus. Maybe that's why it was so quiet, although it does feel like obviously it's not a very well-known trail these days, so I'm not quite sure why that is. The other amazing person I met on this trail was a lady in a pub that I stopped at just for a quick break, and I thought, right, I'm going to treat myself to a beer because all the pubs were shut apart from this one. Unfortunately, I didn't bring any cash. I think the lady felt a bit sorry for me and enjoyed the fact that I was hiking and doing the trail, and she kindly gave me a cold can of beer on my way out. So I think that was the Cross Keys pub actually, if I remember correctly. So yeah, that was pretty amazing too. My experience with the Insta360 camera, I would say, is definitely a huge advantage over what I used to carry. I used to use my phone and a gimbal. The thing with that obviously is because I used Komoot to navigate and obviously take pictures for Instagram and social media and stuff, it was difficult having to swap it out of the gimbal every time and set up the gimbal and then take the shot, and it was just a bit too much. So I had to separate the filming from my phone to another device. So I was looking at possibly getting a camera, and I was looking really hard, doing lots of research, and it got to a point where it got a bit too expensive, and I didn't really want to take anything that expensive and possibly fragile on trail with me, and also it would add a ton of weight, and for someone who's trying to keep ultra light, I don't really want to carry a heavy camera attached to me, or I'd be constantly worried about it being damaged. And I wanted an action camera, and I was looking at other options, but I got to this one simply because you can swap out the modules, and you can have the 1-inch, which I'm filming on now. You can have the 360, which I use majority on the trail, and you've got the 4K as well. It was just so easy to use, and I had a bum bag as well, which I was able to put it away and get it out and literally press record and start recording and just put it away. It was so easy to use. I did get a couple of comments off some people saying I may have overused the 360 module, which I hold my hands up and admit to that, simply because I was lazy. You can just hold it up in the air and you can choose in post exactly where you want to have the angle and where you want to film, so it's a lot easier to just hold it up and not have to worry about it. A lot of people were saying that it might hurt their eyes a little bit, so I think in future, yeah, I'll definitely balance it out. I'll probably use the 360 points of interest that I can just choose where I want to look at, and try and use the 4K and 1-inch a lot more. Yeah, so I like to hike simply because it's a good way of me getting physical exercise. I used to do a lot of running, but unfortunately my knees aren't quite what they used to be. So hiking is a little bit less impact, which is really good for me. But a really big part of it is simply because of the mental stress as well, because the stress of life, obviously everyone knows it, it's really hard, it gets you down, especially with a lot of stuff that's going on as well lately. It's good just to get out, completely forget about all of that. All you got to do is think about putting one foot in front of the other, look forward to where you're going, enjoy being out in nature, and obviously seeing animals you wouldn't normally see on a daily basis as well. I like recording these too. I started recording these simply because my memory is not what it used to be either. I love watching them back and then sort of getting a bit of FOMO from myself. So it makes me kind of want to get back out there and do it again. So what I recommend for all the people that are going to be doing Three Quires Way, especially the one I created on my Komoot, I'll put a link down in the description below that you can download that onto your phone and follow that. Yeah, I would recommend that people stick to the mileage that I've put down on there. I did say in my video, the main reason why I kind of struggled at times simply because on the first day of each stage, I would creep into my second day just simply to make that day a little bit easier in order for me to get a train, to get home, sort my kit out, ready for work the next day. But if you're doing it all in a oneer, or you're a bit more chilled out than I am, then if you stick to the original mileage, which is even on both days, I think it'll be a lot easier for you. You won't push yourself too hard on that first day and create muscle fatigue and joint pain for that second day, or a prolonged pain over the week into your next hike the following weekend. Thanks for watching this video. I hope if you are doing 3/4 way, this might have answered any questions that you may have had before doing it. If you have any more, please feel free to write in the comments down below, and I'll try and answer as many as I can. Also, I will be doing a kit video of all the kit that I carried on 3/4 way. So if you want me to go in depth of any of the kit, just write a comment down below, anything you want me to go into more detail, and in that video, I'll try my best to answer as much as I can about that piece of kit. Again, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe, help me grow this channel. Press the bell icon too so you get all the latest videos, and I'll see you in the next one.